What's up, everyone? I am the devastating Just Cause, and this is DJC Game Studios. It's my new thing. I do this now. Welcome. We have an extra silly sauce-packed episode today, and I'll tell you what, it's something new. I had to think about it. I was like, it's something new. It's a new segment we like to call Top 5! Alright. On this episode of Top 5, we're going to dive into... That'd be more like a cannonball. Can't hold... I'd have to hold... Anyways. Can't hold your nose. You can do a one-legged cannonball, but you can't lock the knees properly, and you never become an Olympic professional swimmer or sprinter. Remember super sprint? Remember track and field? Anyways, forget those tangents and different timelines. We are going to talk about my top 5, and this is just precious to me just because of memories, and some may scare and offend you, and as well as make you go, what? My top 5 Nintendo Entertainment System games. That's right, the original Nintendo. This little bad boy right here. Hello, I'm the Nintendo. Hey, there's my 501 cartridge. What the? I should go out on the thing. It's got the turtles on it. That right there for later. Eat that bad boy. No, you really shouldn't eat cartridges. They're plastic and probably kill you. Anyways, let's go to, in no particular order, we're going to start with my number 5, and that is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out had many crazy characters, and it also reminded me of the nostalgia of going back in the arcade in the 80s, playing Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out. Although Super Punch-Out was actually the first game I ever played, and then when I was old enough and out of school and doing a bunch of music stuff, and I was like, hey, I got some money, I'm going to buy an arcade game, and I found a cheap Punch-Out original arcade cabinet. And then I relearned all about Glass Joe and everyone else. And then your boss guy was Mr. Sandman. And then but when I was a kid, I used to go to 7-Eleven, and I have a lot of stories about that, because 7-Eleven by me always had a couple in the back corner, at the end of the candy aisle, they used to have 2 arcades and a pinball, and then it was just like an arcade and a pinball, because they kept getting some, and then they got rid of it altogether. You know, a lot of stores back then, in the 80s, up into the 90s, would do stuff like that. Grocery stores, 7-Elevens, you name it. It's because arcades were just everywhere. Well, anyways, I'm going on another arcade tangent, and that's another one of the top 5. Anyways, before this gets way too silly, and we're going to need extra silly sauce. Oh, that's a new flavor. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out had a lot of different characters that remind you that I remember playing in the arcade. I remember playing in the arcade, and I really liked it. It was like, I remember my buddy owned it first, because I owned Ring King. Ring King's another honorable mention. It's not on my top 5, but it is definitely one that I played the heck out of, but then I also played that in the arcade as well. So I think we see where I'm going here. A lot of this stuff was ported. Anyways. And then at the end of the Mike Tyson's Punch, because they had Punch-Out and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when they had that license, then you had the Dream Fight with Mike Tyson. Or if you got stiffed and bought it 3 years later without the license, you had to face Vanilla Ice Mr. Dream. But anyways, that was my first top 5. That was number 5. Now let's go to number 4 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I'm talking about Super Mario Brothers 2. You thought I was going to say 3. No, not this guy. I like 2. Anyways, Super Mario 2 is very nostalgic to me. It's very nostalgic to me because I remember for Christmas, I was like, I'm going to get some Nintendo games, and I opened stuff, and I opened stuff on Christmas morning. You know, they're expensive. We weren't rich, but I got like a couple. And it wasn't Super Mario 2, and everybody was getting Super Mario. I was like, oh man, because it was the year Super Mario 2 came out. And I was like, all right. They went to the family's house, went to my grandmother, and she handed me that little square wrapped gift. And I knew that I was like, this is a Nintendo game. And man, it just brings back memories right now. Tore it open, Super Mario 2. I was like, can we leave yet? Can we go home? Can we go home? I wish I would have brought my Nintendo, you know. And I remember getting home, popping it in that night, and just playing it. So it was really nostalgic for me. I mean, we all played Super Mario 1. I can go with that on a different time and date and whole different dimension on that. But Super Mario 2 held really close to my heart. You had the different vegetables you could pull up and uproot and throw at things. You had the little ghost people, and you had the different dimension where you went into the door, you threw the potion, and you got mushrooms, and well, it was really a trip, wasn't it? But it was all based on a Mario dream, which I thought was really cool. I know I believe it wasn't really based around Mario when it was originally made. They had there's a whole history on the controversy of Super Mario 2 and how this one turned into Super Mario 2. But I love the animation style. I love the throwing the eggs at the snorkel dudes that look like Snorks, a cross between Snorks and Fraggles. I don't know. Whatever those egg people were. Forgot his name. Anyways, that was Super Mario 2. My next one is a trip over my own shoe. Skechers. Number 3 on my top 5 Nintendo Entertainment System games. Number 3, Life Force. Yes, Life Force. In Japan, it was called Salamander. It was part of the Gradius series. But Life Force was you flew a ship inside of a. I always wondered, and if you read the manual, I'd have to reread it again. But as a kid, I wasn't sure if you were flying into a planet that wasn't alive, or you were flying inside of a monster, because it was very organic, and there was blood cells and platelets and things attacking you. But then there was fire, and then you were in space. But then you went inside, and you had to fight his heart and blow up his heart, and then Zelos's heart and soul would go around, which is this dragon serpent thing. But then when you flew away, it was a planet exploding. It was quite confusing for a kid of my age. And now. Anyways, Life Force. Like I said, you picked up pods, you had fun, you had crazy levels, you had a long, extendy, stretchy arms that would stretch out and try to grab you. I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe there was graphics there, we don't know. Moving on. That was my number 3 in Nintendo. Hello? Why'd my voice crack like this? Hey, that was number 3 of the Nintendo Entertainment System Top 5. Anyways, my number 4 of the Nintendo Entertainment System. My number 4 of the NES Top 5. My number 4 is Rygar. And I had a big thing on this. Rygar I spent a lot of time with. It reminds me because my buddy loaned it to me while I loaned him. I think I loaned him Breakout and Super Mario 2, or I forgot, or something else I had. But Rygar, man, I eventually, bought my own. But Rygar was so cool. And I talked about it in other videos, and I want it to be remade on the Amico as well. But you had the crazy spinny shield, whatever they called that. Crazy spinny shield, I believe, is the correct term that we coined, and they did. It's trademarked. And you went through and you hit slugs, and you went through different beautiful lands, and the music was just so, I was going to say happy. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. No, we're not doing that. Getting way too silly off the rails. Not throwing those graphics up, though, because they're a little played out. Let's move it on. But anyways, we all know Rygar is just a legendary Nintendo game. I don't know why I can't talk. I'm going to need a little more tab to wet my palate and to bring me up because I'm tired. And tab is a lot better than coffee because coffee will make me climb these racks into the ceiling. Moving on. Number 5 on the Nintendo Entertainment System NES. Number 5 and my final. Or I should say this would be number 1. How am I counting this backwards? Did I count it right? I don't even know what I'm doing. Anyways, the 5th one, which is probably number 1, I guess, at this point if we were counting backwards. I screwed it all up. What a shamble falling apart episode this is. My final one and one of my top favorites, and it just reminds me because I went and got like a, now mind you, I'm still in, what the heck, I don't even know if I was in middle school or what. Hello? I don't know why is my voice changing like this? I ended up getting like a part-time, not even a part-time job because I was a kid. There's a pizza place and me and my buddies were passing out flyers. And each day he'd give us like $15 to pass out flyers. So I ended up saving up like $30-something. And I walked up to Kmart, or rode my bike up to Kmart. That's how young I was. Didn't even have, I mean, I was young. And I rode my bike up to Kmart, my Schwinn Stingray. And back then, you didn't have to lock it. Now, if I rode that same Schwinn Stingray, they'd lock me up. Or no, they wouldn't lock. Why would they lock me up? Not me. I would have to lock the bike up because it would get stolen. Because that's how things are, and it sucks. And it's probably worth a lot more now. I know it is. I even got the new reissue, the 2020 Stingray. Looks just like mine. Reflectors are a little... Okay, I'm going way off. Back to it. My top one, Robo Warrior. It's a Jaleco, whatever you want to call it, branded game. Robo Warrior was, I was going to swear, but it was a gosh darn heck of a game. And it was like, the only way I can explain it is like you're this robot, but it's almost like just a giant world of like puffy, colorful green and trees, you know, and bushes, and then there's blocks and other stuff too. It's almost like, if you guys are if you guys are familiar with, which most people who are gamers that are watching this are, Bomberman. It's kind of like a insane world of, but with way insaner graphics. Like, I mean, I could throw it up. So I'm looking over here. Is that where it's gonna come up? Robo Warrior was cool because it had all these different worlds and planets, and each planet you had to go to, or each world you had to, like, there was the end of a big boss fight at the end, and it was, you had to blast your way through, but you got a ton of different icons, and sometimes you blast open a cave and you go down to the cave, but if you had the candle, you had to light a candle and it lasted only a long time, or if you had a lantern you could see, but it would just be enough to see in the dark in front of you. And there's crazy mechanical robots, and I'm going like this because there's mechanical spiders, because that's what spiders do. They do this. Whatever. And they had crazy chicken bees and all these other weird characters. The music was awesome. And then you had to find the chalice in every level. And then also, to keep your robot up and charged, you had to find batteries or power packs. And you had to keep them in reserve. So slightly RPG-ish, but without talking to people. It was more or less collecting icons, using icons. So you had to, like, cross rivers, you know, that like most games, you had to get a boat or a raft. You could walk over the water, the rivers and the waterfalls, and then you had to keep the candles and the lanterns to see in the dark. It was just an amazing game to me. It was like this little crazy Zelda style, but more Bomberman-ish, but with bigger, extravagant worlds where you had to find all this stuff, and eventually the chalice to exit the world, or the world would keep repeating and you'd have to blast your way through all this forestry again. Well, I have talked enough, but that is my top 5! Alright, I'm getting way too wacky. Yeah, that's the top 5. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you put up with it. And please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. I'm always something nice to watch after a long day of working hard. You can be like, look at this guy. Probably not. But please subscribe. Please watch again. And please also like. Oh, I already said subscribe. But please do that again. And we'll see you all over the internets and on the next top 5 and other things. I got a lot of other stuff here too. There you are. Looking all over for you. How you doing? Oh, man. Oh, you're the Marshmallow Man. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to use you today. I thought you were the Pillsbury Doughboy. I was looking for some biscuit. Man, I got to turn this off. Peekaboo! Just kidding. I really should go.